be the four, or five rather, main types of travel. There is public transport, private hire, the railway system, boat travel, and taxis. As for the concepts, the hooks and the themes, my general concept, or the initial one, was to educate kids around my age about the underground, but I quickly realised that this would have been too short and underwhelming for a final major project, and I wanted to broaden my scope, so I moved it on to more types, and so it moved on to that. For what I was unable to include, there was a lot of different types of travel in London, right? There's the Dockland Light Railway, there's the Overground, there's the Elizabeth Line and stuff like that, and it would have become too stretched out for a final major project, so it was already rather long, and had I included everything, it would have been probably 10 or so minutes long, and that's way too long. So I had to shorten it and trim it down to just 5 main types. For time management, honestly, I don't think I had the greatest time management. I didn't lay out my work schedule all that great as a whole, and I should have worked on that. And due to procrastination, a lot of progress was minimalized, and I did not complete my work to the best of its ability, but that's always something to work on. As for who my production is aimed at, it's, while I said kids my age, it is as young as 14-year-olds to as old as 18-year-olds. It's meant to be preferably kids in that age demographic who have little to no knowledge about the expanse of our travel system, who want to learn more or need to learn more should they need to commute in the future for personal reasons or for work, and need to learn their way around how to get around London. For whether or not I think my completed F&P video appeals to this same demographic, I'm not really sure. It didn't exactly turn out as a typical hypercentric animated project that you'd typically expect, but more so a slower, simpler pace and a style that might actually appeal more if the older side of that demographic isn't as into animation and stuff as I am. For the surveys and interviews and questionnaires and things like that that I collected, honestly, due to, or rather linking back to my point about procrastination, I didn't really craft a questionnaire until the last minute. So as for feedback, I don't honestly think I have any to speak about, which is my own fault really. For research that I found interesting, there was, as I said earlier, the DLR, the Overground, and the Elizabeth Line. These are things I only just learned about doing my final major project, and it's honestly amazing to think that the Dockland Light Railway is a fully automated self-driving train, either or anything. It's really amazing. As for any additional research that I could have explored further, I honestly could have delved deeper into other boat travel, as I did with trains. Even if not a thing, it's always good to research that and make sure for myself that that's the case. For any books or websites or videos or anything that I researched to help back up my final major project, I most frequently used Wikipedia. This also served as my main source of information and was actually used not only in my research PowerPoint, but in my final major project video, as it was in the intro and initial timeline that shows in the first 30 seconds of the video. For the styles and media text and genre and whatnot, my major project video was based heavily on modern, fast-paced edited, well, fast-paced, but more modern, not classic edited gameplay videos. It was more not raw footage, but simple edits with transitions and basic things like that. I think my animation quite dabbles into that sort of genre. For my research into music, sound effects, and audio styles and things like that, I predominantly used the recommended text-to-speech website that my classroom teacher provided. I had previously dabbled with it in Units 1 and 2, so it was a much smoother and easier experience than the first time around. For the 3 or 4 animation or technical skills that I used, I had to import audio as well as importing videos, and as I said earlier, I had to draft simple transitions. Importing audio and videos was actually a skill that I learned during this project, as I had never done it before. And it's actually a quite useful thing to know. It's very easy and very useful. When it came to my animation process, I had to find non-copyright audios and clips, like the background music that plays throughout the entire animation, which is called relaxed scene. The clips were from pexels.com, and were all non-copyright. I had to talk about something linked to the theme, for example, simple facts like how the Uber boat runs every day of the year other than Christmas Day. I also had to add matching text and dialogue to these texts that would run on the screen alongside an AI voice that was clear and concise with its speech. I had to also use a small number of storyboards. While I only used 1 or 2, they were still helpful, and honestly I wish I had used more, with how effective they were for managing time and scoping out the layout of my final major project. For my poster, I generally referenced and based it off the one initially pre-placed in our Unit 8 folders. While it's not an exact copy, you can see the heavy inspiration taken from it, and I think it is a nice thing to base it off of. It was rather helpful to have and helped me create it. For what I could have changed to do next time, I should have probably, I would like to try and manage my time more effectively to avoid receiving the same probably lowish quality results that my final major project video brought along. As for the audience feedback and the number of responses I received, as I said earlier, because I crafted my questionnaire at such a late time, I had little to no feedback, or if any really. I never had the chance to check. I had also, I'm assuming, no responses, so any opinions given on my final major project during this recording is purely self-assessed, and I'm trying my absolute best to be unbiased. Discussing what I added to my Wix website and how that supports my FMP, a few small bodies of texts going over my thoughts, process and ideas surrounding my FMP video were added, as well as the FMP video itself linked as a YouTube video. For how I feel overall about my FMP project, I think it turned out fine for what it's worth. It isn't perfect, but nothing is. It honestly could have been improved, but so long as it conveyed its message and fulfilled its purpose as an informational video that helped people to better understand the varying the varying types of travel in London, I think that's all that matters. As for what worked well and what could have been improved, I do think the style used in my final major project was fine, looking back on it, but it should have been fine-tuned to the point where at least 30 seconds of the video included some animation, considering that's what I believe it was supposed to be about, rather than a simple edited video. Moving on from this though, a little side thing, I would just like to thank everyone for giving me the opportunity to potentially live out my dream of becoming an animator and letting me take part in this course. It was really a blessing to have gone to do this, even despite my shortcomings. And I'd like to thank everyone, even the one playing this back, for that opportunity.